Welcome to TimSold Talks. Join us as we dive into all things real estate, talk about business, food, cars, and much more with industry experts. Dream it, believe it, achieve it. Welcome back to another episode of TimSold Talks. I'm very honored to have Caleb Shin here from People's Christian Academy. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tim.
It's always a pleasure to have PCA staff come and share about the stories and the great work that you guys are doing. But before we get into that, I just need to give a quick shout out to our sponsor today, Eatable Popcorn, homegrown local success story from the GTA. Amazing success. They've been in the Oscars and big movie partnerships. So big kudos to them. Please, would you like to give some of the popcorn a try?
Yeah,
we have
sure.
two different flavors. We have a coconut lime margarita and a strawberry champagne there. So, bon appetit. Ciao. Crunchy and fresh. The kernels are.
Yeah, it's really good. This one's a strawberry champagne.
Strawberry champagne, and this is the coconut margarita. Don't worry, there's no alcoholic.
Before I get back to school.
Yeah, before you go back to teaching. So thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day. I know it's the middle of a school day today. So thank you very much for making time to come share your story. Maybe for our audience, you can quickly introduce yourself and talk about why we're here.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Caleb Shin. I grew up in this area. I work at People's Christian Academy, so one of the staff. I actually went there as a student.
Oh, okay.
So I was there since kindergarten. So 13 years at PCA, and then went to school for Teachers College with the intention of coming back to PCA to teach and to continue to give back. So
nice.
That's
how long have you been teaching there now?
This is my third year.
Third year,
third year
okay.
teaching.
And what subjects do you teach? And
so currently I teach phys ed,
okay.
and then geography, civics, and food and culture. But it kind of changes because PCA is a smaller school, so a lot of different teachers are able to teach multiple different things. So it kind of shuffles around a bit. But
yeah. No, it's a great exposure, I guess, for you too, the different student class and student bases too, by having different classes, right? So or different topics. Also, apart from teaching, any other thing else you do?
Yeah, definitely coaching is a big part of my love for PCA. So I coach the guys and the girls basketball team senior. I also coach soccer, help out with the volleyball, softball, track and field. So I try to be as involved as I can.
Yeah. You're like a one-man thing. You coach everything there.
Oh, I try my best. Yeah. I love sports. So it's it's a great way to communicate with the kids and to really see them outside the classroom. So
no, I think athletics is a great kind of training as well, engaging and a way to interact with the students, right? And especially you're still, fairly young.
Yeah,
and,
that helps for sure. Yeah, that's responsibilities. Yeah.
You talked about sports. Did you grow up playing sports or?
Yeah, so I actually grew up playing just recreationally, so soccer and hockey. I grew up playing, and then at school, because it was a smaller school, I was able to play on a lot of different teams just because the teams weren't as competitive. So I played a lot of frisbee, volleyball, things like that. And then basketball was a little bit later, so into university, intramurals and things like that. Yeah.
And how long have you been coaching basketball?
This is my third year now.
Oh, third year.
Third
so
year.
Right at the start.
So right from the start, there was an opportunity, and then I took it right away. And then it's kind of grown into a lot of relationships with the students too. Yeah, a couple of them from grade 9, now they're in grade 11. So it's it was really good relationships built throughout the couple of years.
Grow up.
Yeah.
And maybe talk about some of that the coaching aspect. What brought you to coaching? What have you learned? What do you like about it? And what do you like? What don't you like about it?
I think definitely of all the teams that I coach, basketball is the one that I enjoy the most because the season is kind of the most grueling. It's a little bit harder, and there's the most practices, and there's the most student interest as well. So because of that, the students have a bigger buy-in. They don't mind waking up early for the practices or having to run. They kind of take more ownership, and they hold themselves a bit more accountability. So being able to see them grow in that aspect is really beneficial for me. There are so many kids that when you see them in the classroom, they kind of sit at the back, or they kind of just goof off, or they whatever. And because it's a small school PCA, you see them in the hallway, you see them in a certain way, but then when you see them in basketball and you see them develop skills, you kind of I'm able to share more of myself and be passionate with them, and they see that, and they kind of reciprocate that relationship. So there's kind of mutual trust that's built just by seeing them so often too. Yeah, you speak about early morning practices. I know some of your practices are at 7 a.m. Yeah. Try to encourage them to be there before 7.
Yeah. And during this coaching journey, seeing the kids develop, but I guess also in the classroom too. What's the most rewarding part that you get out of this?
I know a lot of coaches, they say success off the court. But I think for me, the biggest aspect of that is seeing them grow in their character, specifically with faith as well. So with every practice, I always start with a devotion and a prayer, really trying to get them to look at basketball, like everybody will have a last time they play.
Yeah.
And like no matter like what level you play, even if you play at the highest level, there'll be a day where you stop playing. And like there's more to life than just basketball. Building your own quote unquote brand or building your own like career or whatever. Really encouraging them to be like kingdom builders for God's kingdom. Yeah, so that's something, seeing them grow in that way and seeing them like get involved with their church or like hold each other accountable, whether it's like language on the court or like their attitude during practice, seeing them like, yeah, keep each other, holding each other to that standard. I think that's definitely the most rewarding part.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the language part because I know some of the other coaches don't mind it when their players get a little bit hot headed because they understand it is a physical and intense game. But what's your stance on that? No language?
Yeah, definitely.
No foul language.
Yeah. Like I believe that as a Christian school too, when we're representing the name of Christ, like to be different. To stand out, because like there are a lot of Christians who swear, and that's like their own personal like their own stance on
choice,
it, their choice. But then I always try to encourage the guys, like the language you use matters, because the way that other schools view us, the way that other schools will remember the language we use, the ways that we talk to each other, like that's gonna have a lasting impact.
Okay, and how's the season going so far?
It's good. We finished 5-2 out of 7 games. We're playing our semifinals tomorrow against one of our rivals, so it's gonna be a fun game.
Intense
really
game, huh?
Yeah, it's gonna be a close game. Yeah,
best of luck with that.
Yeah.
Okay. And you said what are some of the important qualities you have as a teacher / coach, and how does that help you interact or mingle or engage your students in the classroom or on the courts?
I think definitely like at this stage in my life, like my age helps. Like being more
young,
like a little bit more relatable to the students.
Yeah.
Like I went here as a student, but even like in my first year of teaching, like still people like asking if I'm a student or whatever, it's like newer people. So it's like, definitely that helps with the relationship building aspect. And the kids view me a little bit different. They see as a little bit more personable, a little bit more trusting, more as like an older brother figure or mentor figure than like actually as an authority.
Yeah.
So that for sure helps. And I think for me, like learning how to use that has been like really good. So it's like being very personable and like being professional, but at the same time being like authentic. And students can like see that, especially high school kids. I used to teach the middle school and I kind of struggle with it because like at that life stage for middle school kids, like they kind of need more authority, right? Like too much leash. It's like, they can get a little bit out of hand or a little rowdy. So definitely why I feel so called to like the senior school specifically. It's because a lot of those like high school kids, they just need that older, like almost like mentor figure. Someone that not only they can look up to, but that they can respect and that they can relate to. To kind of like understand their
cool enough. Like,
kind of.
You understand
a little bit more,
their phase in life.
Yeah, so like better, I think like being, whether it's like teaching or like coaching, like I hope they don't see me as like a completely different person, like me as a coach versus me as a teacher. They can just see me as a person and like kind of respect that. Or if like they saw me like outside of school, like would I be like embarrassed to see for them to see me, whatever kind of thing, just to make sure that who I am is like authentic, no matter like kind of what I'm doing.
What the situation is. Yeah, no, the genuine authenticity I think is a great personal trait that you definitely showcase. So thank you for leading the kids with that role model. Okay, so kind of like jumping in between, some that you've touched a bit on before, juggling, as a teacher and a coach, you say you can, have opportunities to engage the kids outside of just the classroom aspect. How do you think that's enriched your kind of like own career, your personal understanding of the kids or anything?
Definitely, it always like reminds me of like the commitment because like there are a lot of people who go into the profession of teaching just like kind of using it for the breaks or like the March breaks, the summer breaks, just clock in 9 to 5 kind of thing. But definitely like it helped me realize that like teaching and inspiring next generation is like a lifelong thing, and it's so much more than 9 to 5. And I see a lot of these kids like more than they see their parents a lot of the times. Like, because if there are multiple teams, I see them at like 7 a.m. I see them till like 6 p.m. after school, like at games or whatever. I see them at lunchtime. I supervise them in the gym, whatever, right? So it's like knowing that, like giving into the next generation is like something that requires like all of me. And it's not something I want to do half-heartedly.
Yeah. No, it's a noble cause. And what kind of think triggered that or motivated you, or how did, that where did that inspiration come from?
It's definitely my teachers, like when I was in high school. Like I remember grade 11, 12. I was like any other typical teenager, just going through things. And then
Yeah.
I was not super academic, and PCA is like a very academic school. So a lot of my teachers, they like showed me and they reminded me that, you know what, like life is more than grades. And like, just because I don't want to pursue math or science, it doesn't mean that I can't live a fruitful life. And it showed me like the value in putting my identity in Christ and putting my identity in something kind of beyond myself. And yeah, my teachers would always challenge me to like, you know, it's like, what are you really living for? Like, what kingdom are you building? So they always like inspire me to like, yeah, live out my faith in a way that others can feel the love of Christ as well. So that was a big inspiration for me to want to do the same for students of this generation.
No, it's a very worthwhile cause. So you spoke about kingdom a few times. So what is your kingdom vision, or what are you trying to build right now for the kingdom?
I really believe that like my calling and my purpose on earth is to specifically build God's kingdom by speaking into like Christian youth today, to really help them get a clear understanding of what the gospel is. I had a lot of friends like growing up, going through PCA and the Christian education system, where it's like the gospel was taught in word, but it wasn't really taught in action. And a lot of students were kind of hurt by that. They were hurt by like other teachers or other students who claimed to be Christian, and they didn't really have a Christian background themselves. So when they experienced that kind of hurt, it kind of really rubbed them the wrong way. So for me, what I feel called most is to share that truth with the people, with the students now, to not only tell them the gospel in their words they know in their head, but so that they feel it. So they feel the love of Christ. They feel that, you know, their values and so much more than what their parents say, or kind of more than just their marks or academics or even their performance on the basketball court. So being able to see that growth, that's kind of what makes me feel fulfilled.
Nice. Any kind of like, you know, testimonies or stories you can share with us, or is it?
There's definitely like seeing like students now, like I said, like this is my 3rd year coaching now. Seeing students grow in maturity. Like there's like one of our students on the basketball team, he's the captain now. And I remember in grade 9, he was like always a really skilled player. And he went to church, but I could tell like he didn't really know the gospel. He didn't really like know it in his heart. Like he knew it in his head, but the way that he lived and the desires that he had, it was like very just like everyone else, right? And I understood that was a stage in his life, but definitely taking time like outside of practices, challenging him before practices, like not monitoring, but kind of like keeping in contact with him throughout the day, keeping him accountable, saying like, you know, like, what is this for? What are you playing for? What are you living for? Right. And then being able to see him grow spiritually as well. That's been like a huge thing now, where he's like now able to help other guys in the team who are like struggling spiritually or who don't know, or and he's going on missions this year with the school. So he's going to Spain. Yeah, they're going to Spain for their mission trip.
Yeah.
So to see him like grow in that way, that's been like a really big testimony for me to keep going.
That's amazing. Yeah, you're helping him shape, you know, him to be his, you know, God fulfilled vision, right? So I don't know, it's great, commendable job. You know, you spoke about the trips for PCA, the mission trips. Maybe you can elaborate on some of that, because I don't think all schools do that, right? So
yeah, it's definitely what makes PCA stand out for sure. Like their vision. I know you had Mr. A on the podcast earlier. Yeah, so like the vision of preparing the whole person to reach the whole world for Christ. Like that's really not just like what we say on paper, but it's like how we truly try to shape the students. So where we take the gospel and we have like different vision boards or different like we train the students to go to different parts of the world. Last year they went to Ecuador, and past years they went to India, they went to Boston. They've like kind of gone all around the world. Yeah, and they just share the gospel, share the love of Christ, share the good news. To kind of offer hope and peace to those who need to hear it.
Yeah, you're sharing the message, the good word around, right? So, and is this a trip that's sponsored by PCA, or they fund themselves, or how does
they fundraise? So it's on the students to fundraise.
Okay.
I don't know. Every year the cost is a little bit different. Like I think there are some sponsors, and they have a fundraising night actually this Thursday.
Yeah.
So I'll be going to that. So it's nice to see like the work that they do. Fundraising, things like that. Yeah. So that's like one of 2 opportunities actually. So that's like obviously like it's like an optional trip. But then for the grad trip for the grade 12, something that they do every year is they go to Mexico. So they go to Tijuana, Mexico, and they build houses for people. And same thing where they learn about long-term missions. They learn about, they hear testimonies from other missionaries, and it's kind of again to just give them that kingdom dream, to think about like how are they building their life and what's the purpose for it all.
No, it's a great cause, because I don't think we really touched on that last time when Mr. A was here. So it's good to hear another perspective, and you know, to hear, you know, the team captains, the athletes, the students all being part of it, because that's, you know, I guess definitely not your typical high school.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so you said you know, PCA is known for its strong academic and athletic programs. Can you share a moment where you saw the impact? I guess you did a little bit, but combining faith and education, and athletics together in some of the kids you've taught.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, so
Mm.
that one example was just
Yeah.
one person
Hmm.
out of like many where I see like where even like yeah, just hearing comments from like other coaches about like yeah, how our players compete hard, but at the same time they're very like there's something different about them. Um yeah, like I think last year at a frisbee tournament, there was like a situation with like a student like saying like racial slurs and all these terrible things and like obviously it's hard to calm down in that situation. Our student who was like obviously more upset about it. But then the fact that they were able to, still shake hands, still say like, hey, like to look be able to look past that and to kind of have that level of like forgiveness in their
Yeah.
hearts and kind of like love for that person.
Mhm.
That's something that I think makes PCA different in terms of its athletics and combining that faith aspect
Yeah.
with its athletics.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great testimony to showcase the faith-based education curriculum, because that really installs that into the student body, right? So they exemplifies in everything that they do. So
Yeah.
kudos to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've talked about basketball. How are some of the other teams doing that you're coaching?
Our volleyball
Yeah.
volleyball team's pretty strong. So our boys volleyball, they won last year.
Nice.
And then this past year they lost in the finals. It was a close game. They're a strong team. So that was obviously hard, but it was a good experience for them.
Mhm.
Yeah, next year might be a little bit more difficult because a lot of our guys now are grade 12s.
Oh, okay.
But our girls volleyball is also very strong. Our
Mm.
frisbee team is very strong.
Mm.
We have some strong soccer players as well, but yeah, all of our competition, it's like we face mainly the smaller schools, and of the smaller schools, I think definitely like we are of the more competitive one. All the
Nice. No, it's great the balance between
Yeah.
academics and athletics.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. Yeah.
Any kind of like plans you're working on for the future, or to grow the athletic side, or yourself as a professional side? Like, what are your kind of goals that you want to achieve here?
Definitely to keep
Mm.
growing the athletics.
Mm.
I know you and I have been in the talks for a long time about improving the basketball and
Yeah.
seeing like kind of how we can continue to build it.
Mhm.
Because yeah, like there's just such a lack of Christian or faith-based like athletics, like
Mm.
yeah, in this area, and I
Yeah.
think it's something that it's like an area where we can continue to grow in, and
Mhm.
where PCA now like has the capacity to be with it growing and with the gym and
Mhm.
with more and more like athletes staying.
Mhm.
Definitely there's like big opportunity for that. So that's like an area where I'm like kind of looking to grow.
Mm.
I'm also looking to this summer. I'm planning to finish like my phys ed specialist. So
Mm.
hopefully, I don't know if that looks like athletic director in the future or whatever. Obviously, like PCA is like a smaller,
Yeah.
yeah, like smaller kind of circle. So it's like
Mm.
it'll be harder to kind of move around. But that's something that definitely like the
Mhm.
athletics is where I want to
Yeah.
stay, and
Want to
it's
stay,
where I
yeah.
feel connected with the students and where I can feel
Mhm.
like yeah,
Your
kind of I
passion
can
too,
reach
right?
them. Yeah.
Yeah, your passion too, right? So,
Mm,
okay, no,
yeah.
good. So you talked about the athletic side, and because for your love of sports, do you still play, or do you?
Yeah, so just all very recreational. Like I
Yeah.
play in a couple men's leagues for basketball and then
Mm.
soccer as well.
Yeah.
And then pick up a couple times a week. Yeah,
Oh
so like
wow.
I
So
run a couple of pickup like gym nights at like my church.
yeah.
So we'll like alternate between like volleyball and basketball, and then like Sunday soccer leagues just with some friends. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, depends on the
Nice.
season for sure. Yeah,
Depending on the season. So it sounds like you're definitely 24 hours. You're
Yeah.
running somewhere, either coaching or playing or
Yeah.
teaching, right? So
I mean, I'm still under 30, so when I'm for as long as I can, I'm gonna play as much as I can.
Yeah,
and
you still
before
got
kids and
energy, so.
everything. So yeah,
Oh yeah, definitely. Once you have kids, it's a
I
different,
know, right? Yeah.
different trajectory.
Yeah.
So, okay. Anything you kind of want to talk about in terms of like what else you're doing outside of, because you already have a busy life, but like sounds like you're doing even more outside of the teaching and the coaching. Anything else you want to kind of elaborate on and talk about?
Yeah,
Mm.
like I said, like I
Yeah.
have a big passion, and I
Yeah.
feel like my life's purpose is like
Mm.
for Christian youth
Okay.
specifically. So
Yeah.
at my church,
Mm.
I'm the youth activities administrator. So
Okay.
besides from sports and teaching, like music is like a big passion of mine as well. So I don't like
Oh.
make music or anything, but definitely playing and leading worship with like the students. So
Yeah.
teaching them music, yeah, just continuing to empower them to be able to use the talents they have to
Mhm.
glorify God and to give it as like an active worship. So like whether it's through playing music physically or through playing sports, it's like letting that be your worship and
Yeah.
giving of yourself to God kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do that from like Fridays to Sundays. So yeah, my schedule is pretty packed. Like Monday to Friday, it's like packed with sports and school, and then the weekends are all filled like all day with
All
the church
day.
stuff. So
Wow.
yeah, it's definitely like people always ask me, it's like, oh, like aren't you tired? Don't you get burnt out? Whatever. But for me,
Yeah.
it's like I don't know, even if I didn't get paid for any of it, I feel like this is what I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I just feel so assured of my calling that it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. When you love what you do, it's not work, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Pretty good motto. Okay, so I'm mindful of our time here. Before we always end, we ask our guests 2 special questions. The number 1 is, what is one feature you'd like in your dream house?
Definitely a basketball court.
Basketball court.
Yeah, I think like having a personal gym would be so cool. It's so amazing. Yeah, getting shots up anytime.
Yeah.
Having people over just to shoot around. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think those are a bit harder to come by, but
the
and
space.
a much bigger property to look for. But we'll send a few your way just to kind of put some goals.
Oh yeah,
help you set some goals. The second one is, what is the one food you could eat for the rest of your life?
One food, probably steak.
Steak?
Yeah, I love meat. Yeah, all you can eat Korean barbecue or just steak.
Oh yeah, you can eat
ribeye. Keg is my favorite restaurant.
Keg? Okay.
Yeah, so I like the rib steak. Yeah, medium rare Chicago style. That's my favorite. Yeah.
Okay, we'll give them a shout out. Do you cook any yourself, or do you?
Once in a while. Yeah, usually my wife does a bit more of the cooking. But.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I just want to be mindful of our time here. So that pretty much wraps up this week's episode of our TimSold Talks. So thank you very much, Caleb, for coming on and sharing your success story and all these wonderful things that you're doing.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Where can they find you if our audience wants to get in touch with you and just learn more about?
Yeah, I mean, just through People's Christian Academy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because you're one of the main athletic, I guess, quote unquote, nearly director there.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah.
Okay. If you enjoyed this episode and looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate, to call. Please give us review on Spotify and help our algorithm and promote everything that we do here. But if you want to listen and find out more about Caleb and what he's doing at PCA, we'll put the links below, and you guys can check out the People's Christian Academy there. Remember, guys, dream it, believe it, achieve it. It's a beautiful day to sell homes. Thank you much for listening, and thank you much for coming on today.
Thanks so much, Tim.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Tim Kern, and I proudly lead the TimSold team. We're voted as one of the top 3 brokerages in Markham, and we will sell your house fast and for top dollar with the least amount of hassle, or we guarantee to buy it. Call us today and start packing.